put some music on. What do you think? This is the funeral?
Yo, what's really good? We're back again for another episode of The Last Episode. You know me, I'm your host, Lil Will, and we're going to get it in talking about the last episode of WandaVision, episode 7, which was crazy once again. You know, they're doing their thing with the consistency. We had fun on the last episode. Young joined us for the 6 for 6 segment, where, of course, we break down our titles, our favorite titles, worst to first. 36 of them, 6 for 6, on our way to 36 shows and movies, ranking them. And he disagreed with a lot of what was on my list as part of the course with me and my brother. If you missed that segment, you might want to go back and check it. He won't be on this one today. But when we do the finale, he'll join me for that one, and that's going to be special. We're not even going to do it next week for the final reveal. We'll make it its own episode after we do WandaVision. Next week's WandaVision is the last one, so we're going to take time to kind of go through the series and talk about some of the things that we enjoyed the most, some of the things that we might still have questions about, you know, so we'll just spend next week's episode on that, and the episode the week after will be the finale for the 6 for 6. But today we do have the 5th installment of the 6 for 6, and it's good to get back to this. It's been a long week in the Texas area, in the South, where we've been dealing with the winter weather being crazier than it's supposed to be. It doesn't generally get this cold down here. I woke up one morning and it was -2 degrees. Like, that's not something I ever thought I would experience in the state of Texas. -2, that's absurd. So yeah, we had a couple of pipes burst in the house. We were able to get the water shut off before we had the flooding happen, but we dealt with no heat for a while. It's just been trying and crazy, but we still have WandaVision to lift us up, and the week is over. The weather's warming back up, and everything is everything. I've definitely dealt with worse, so it is what it is. I was in Florida during Hurricane Harvey. Lost power then. But yes, getting on with the WandaVision episode. So last week we had some craziness because of Vision. Vision wanted more answers. He started trying to explore. He runs into Agnes, who tells him he's dead finally. He tries to go outside the hex and makes it outside. But I mean, you remember what happened. You saw it. It was wild. It was crazy. We talked about it. On this week's episode, we get a little bit more information, a lot more information actually, because it's a huge reveal. Agatha Harkness. Okay. Now, once again, somebody on social media tried to ruin this for me. Okay. And it was different this time from the Monica Rambeau reveal, because I knew because of Captain Marvel who Monica was, who Marie was, the mom. And so when somebody told me, oh, that's, Geraldine is Monica Rambeau, I was like, oh, I know exactly who that is. And it was a complete ruin for me. This time I was on Twitter. Last time it was Instagram, so the trolls are everywhere. I said something that had nothing to do with actually wondering who Agnes might be. I didn't even insinuate that I was considering that she's going to be someone else in my post. I just used a GIF of WandaVision, GIF, whatever. I just used one from one of the scenes of WandaVision, and Agnes was in it. And a person decided to jump in and was like, oh, I was thinking that was Agatha Harkness, but now I'm not sure. And it's like, I didn't ask. I didn't ask that. But the thing is, I don't know who Agatha Harkness is. I didn't know at the time. So even whether that person had told me or not, it's the same thing. Well, who was that? And I'm still kind of like that. And I looked up just a little bit, just a couple of things on her. I can't read too much because then you know how it goes. You start giving me too much information that I want to kind of discover who she is, at least what they're going to give us. I want to see what the show is going to give us first before I decide if I want to or need to go back and read more and learn about who Agatha Harkness is in the comics. I want to know who she is in the MCU first. You know what I'm saying? But just so we have a little bit of basis in the background, I won't tell you anything that spoils anything significant because I don't know anything myself when it comes to that regard. But she is a sorceress from a very long time ago. It was clear that she's a sorceress. We saw her using the magic, but she was around and was one of the original witches during the Salem witch trials that was tried during that time. So she's been around for a very, very long time. What's interesting is that we were right in the assumption that it wasn't all Wanda doing this. She wasn't the one that was just manipulating everything. It just felt off. Something felt like she was being manipulated, and we were able to identify that. We were correct, obviously. I thought it might have been Hydra. Doesn't seem to be the case. But at this point, too, the commercials have been different, right? We have the Yo Magic yogurt, and then even the very first one was like a Stark toaster. This one was a Nexus depression, help you with depression and all that. Something that Wanda might need, might not. Is one of those pills like you see on the commercials now that tell you it'll help one thing, but you might have to go through some bullshit, just to have this one corrected. Do you have the flu? Take this pill. Now, if you take this pill, it might give you nausea. Some users have experienced cancer. You might start bleeding from your ass. Stuff like that. Stay away from those pills. I'll deal with the flu myself and just let it run its course. Hopefully, I'll come out on the other side. Okay. I don't think I want to do any bleeding from my ass. Hard pass. So now that we're right about Agnes being off, obviously, and her knowing more and being more into it, having a bigger role, right? We didn't know exactly what that was, but it seemed like she knows more. Now the thing is, now Herb, right? What is Herb's role? Are they working together? We don't know that quite yet, but I would very much like to know. The glitching reality thing is interesting because that's another thing that we talked about in the last episode. And I don't know if it's connected yet or not, right? But I said that now that she expanded the hex, is it going to put a strain on her powers? And is she going to start to lose control over some of the elements, that are on her day to day? And then the very next episode, we see the glitching. Is that part of that? Is that what that is? Is she just stressed? Overly stressed? Because she's clearly stressed. We see how she was acting. She didn't really want to be bothered with the boys, or anybody. She just wanted a day for herself. And the way she was acting, her acting, by the way, Elizabeth Olsen is killing it. Tiana Paris, Catherine Hahn, Paul Bettany, they're all stars. They're all killing it. Amazing jobs. The roles: Monica Rambeau, Agnes / Agatha Harkness, Vision, Wanda. Man, they're such great acting in this show. It's been phenomenal. Such range too. I like how genuinely pleased Wanda looked when Agnes came and took the boys, said she was gonna give Wanda some me time, and once they left and closed the door behind them, and Wanda sat there, picked up her bowl of cereal or whatever, and she just had this look on her face like she was so damn pleased and at peace. And it really looks so genuine too. It was funny, though it was short lived because everything started glitching on her. Now, there's something that I don't understand, right? And when they cut to the scene where Monica is out there with Agent Wu and they're talking about what they've discovered when it comes to Hayward and Vision, the plan to bring Vision back to life, which obviously makes Hayward a hypocrite for what he said to Tiana earlier, to Monica earlier about Wanda and not adhering to the wishes of Vision, who said he did not want to be brought back if he died, didn't want to be used as a weapon, and he criticized Wanda for that. And look at you, damn hypocrite. Some of the things, right? You don't have to be a hypocrite. You don't have to do that, right? You didn't have to. I'm not saying to tell Monica about what your plan was for Vision. Obviously, that wasn't in your cards for something that you wanted to do. You didn't have to do that either. So I'm not saying, understand that I'm playing kind of like both sides of the coin. I understand, yes, I would want you to tell Monica, but since you're not going to tell Monica, you don't also have to be a damn hypocrite. You could have just kept that little comment to yourself. Makes you look like an even bigger asshole. But I don't understand why they feel like they immediately have to tell Wanda the plan, Hayward's plan. Right now, she has Vision inside, protecting him from everybody on the outside, regardless of whatever knowledge she has or doesn't have. So Vision is right where, even if you're able to communicate with her this information, if she sat there and she listened to you, then what do you think that's going to change? You think that she's going to put down, like take the hex down for what? So you have easier access to Vision, So like, no. Right now, I have it set up in a way where you can't get in here. So if your plan is to try to somehow get Vision and weaponize him, right now you have a barrier between you and that plan, and that barrier is already me. I don't see why you're like, oh, we have to tell Wanda this, because I don't know if you think that's going to help her start to trust you more. Is that the goal? Because I'm not. Otherwise, I'm not really sure. When they had the little interview going on the breaking the fourth wall, something else that we talked about recently, and how that doesn't bother me when they were doing it last episode, and then they did it a lot more this episode. I hope those who have a problem with that didn't mind this one. I thought it was well done again, and it didn't bother me at all. But during the interview, when the interviewer asked, that we now know, of course, was Agatha, asked Wanda if she thinks that everything that was happening and her losing control, is it because it's what she deserves? And I just want to know what she might mean by that. I have questions, because what would she think that she deserves that over? Is it not being able to save Vision? Is it what she's doing now to the people? Is she supposed to be feeling guilty about that? Is it what happened in Lagos and Civil War? Does that have something to do with it? What would you be referencing that Wanda should feel bad about? I don't know. But it's curious to me. Is it some twisted ass bad guy logic like they have in these shows and movies that always kills me, where the someone is coming after the hero on some "you murdered my father," even though my father was a mass murderer for decades type shit, and now I want revenge. You arrested my brother, and he was a serial rapist, I know, but he was my brother, and now I'm gonna make you pay. Like, I don't know what exactly she might be referencing, but you can't get into the mind of the bad guys sometimes. They're just batshit crazy. And speaking of Agatha / Agnes, is there actually a Ralph? Yeah, we've heard about this fake husband, Ralph, now numerous times, and now that we also know that she's not really under the control of Wanda, she's doing her own thing, and it's all bullshit. Is there a Ralph? Maybe the rabbit is Ralph, right? She had the little rabbit when she came downstairs into the basement and revealed herself. Maybe the rabbit is Ralph. I don't know. I'll tell you what, I can't wait to find out the powers that Monica is going to have, what the range of them are. That's going to be fun. When she was trying to get in with the truck, I think we all knew that shit wasn't going to work. But how it didn't work with the hex increasing its density to match the strength of the truck to keep it out. That's a crazy, insane amount of power and structure that you have built there. It's interesting though that you can kind of walk and force your way through it, but you would think the density for the body, I don't know. They're thinking about it too much. Wanda be gone from 0 to 100 real quick though, don't she? When Monica came up in there and she saw her, she did not want to talk. She didn't want to hear anything Monica had to say before she turned up on her. It was crazy, like how fast, because we see her the whole episode, right? She was all in this chill mood, just trying to relax, and she was a little confused at times, but she was calm, and as soon as she sees Monica, boy. I like the blue eyes look, too, that Monica be having going on. It looks right, like it fits. I don't know. The purple for Agatha fits too. I like it. It all looks great. The special effects look great. Yeah, I love it. Marvel, man, they be doing their thing with all this stuff. Another thing I'll have a question about. What was the point of the scene in episode 6 with the on the edge of the hex, right? With Agatha, when she was talking to Vision? Was it the plan just to go ahead and let him know now that he was dead, and start to unravel things? Is that part of her plan? Or did her plan switch somehow? Or like, what is that portion of it? I don't know. We know that she's just super manipulative, but like, to what end, right? What's the goal here? That's what I want to know. It was I always have WandaVision on in the background with the sound down when I'm recording these podcasts, just in case I see something that I want to mention that I didn't write in my notes, or it's just escaping me. But hey, so right now it's just the part where Wanda flung Monica from her house. It's pretty raw. I love seeing all the powers, and it's so cool to me. Now, there's something that I'm afraid of. Okay, we know about everything that's going on so far, and now we're learning that Agnes is Agatha, and that gives people something to talk about. on a major scale, because we don't know what her plans are and who is this Agatha person. Yeah, I know some of you comic book readers know already, but the rest of us, we're just kind of rolling along and discovering things as we go. And if you haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then you might not know about the Darkhold. The Darkhold is what I'm afraid of right now. That was the book that was glowing with the magic when Wanda went into the basement of Agatha, and we saw it sitting on the mantle. The Darkhold is also known as the Book of Sins or the Book of Spells. It's made of dark matter from the Hell dimension, and it goes back ages. People have tried many times to destroy this book, and it always comes back. Ghost Rider took this book and drug it back to the Hell dimension, and it made its way back. It always comes back, and it's a very, very powerful book. It corrupts the mind of people who read it, and it just has a whole bunch of crazy stuff in there. I don't want to tell you everything that it can do, just in case you haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you might want to go back and watch it, because it is a phenomenal show, and I highly recommend it. If you have seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you remember the Darkhold, then you know what a problem it can be. And so I don't know how she plans on using it, but now it makes sense more to me how the powers can be used to generate this type of magic, the type of broadcast, if that's what you wanted to do. It pretty much tell you how to do whatever you want to do. Just it's crazy. And we only have one more episode. That's not right. So some of the questions too, like, now that Vision knows the truth about everything, what is he gonna do? What happened to Billy and Tommy? How did Agatha get Wanda in the first place, right? We already asked the question of why, but how? How did she get to her? Why did Agatha have to kill Sparky? Come on, man. That's not even right. And if you have the Avengers, why do you really need to bring Vision back and try to make him your own weapon? You want to have a weapon directly under your control that can rival the strength of the Avengers? You know, is that what the... I don't know. Was Wanda aware, actually, of what they were trying to do with Vision already? When Monica was talking to her, she said, don't tell me about that. Don't talk to me about that. Is that an insinuation that she kind of already knew and she doesn't want to hear it? You know, like, I don't know. Is that partially why she went and she got Vision out and then put up this structure to protect him? I don't know. These are questions that need answering soon. But that's all of our discussion for the WandaVision episode for today. So now it's time to flip over to the 6 for 6 and go through our next 6 on the list. We're almost to the end, and it's been fun listing. Just stay tuned. Hey, listen up.
I'm listening.
If you enjoy the Last Episode podcast, don't forget to subscribe to the Last Episode podcast. Like it, share it. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, @JaLilWill, so you can interact with me. We can talk. You can let me know what you like and don't like about the pod so we can make it as great as possible. You can come here weekly and get your
spirits lifted,
because you know how we get down. Enjoy the episode. Yo. What's the damn deal? We're back for another 6 for 6 on the way to 36. Now, before we jump into that real quick, I was just telling you how I always have the WandaVision episode on in the background as I'm recording the podcast and have it on mute. Well, as I was doing that and just kind of letting it run at the end as I'm doing my thing on the podcast, I noticed something that I didn't notice the first 3 times that I watched it. There's actually a cutscene at the end of this one, right in the middle between, they do the graphics with the names of the major actors and stuff before they roll the black screen credits. Like right in the middle there before they switch, there's a little extra scene there. So if you didn't catch it, go back and watch it. It's interesting. It's interesting. And there's some motherfuckers for doing it like that, for not having one all this time through 6 episodes, and then the 7th episode you're going to put something in at the end, just slide it in there all slick. Okay, I see you. But yes, it's time to go for our 6 for 6 segment today. Another 6 titles to knock off and talk about. Okay, now this is a special part of the list because we're nearing the end. I mentioned earlier in the first part of the podcast that I'm not going to reveal the final 6 next week. You're actually going to have to wait an extra week because next week's episode is going to be solely dedicated to WandaVision, the entirety of the season of WandaVision, and that's going to be it. So then the following week we'll discuss our 6 for 6 because it's the finale. We will go back through the entire list. We'll talk about the last 6. Young will be on that one again, so he'll come through, show some love and show some hate on the list, and there's been different parts of it that he's missed, so he'll have a chance to kind of pick apart the things that he's most critical of. Now for today, let's start with Doctor Strange, okay? Doctor Strange is next on the list. It's finally time for my man, Benedict Cumberbatch. Did a great job in the role. A great job. Now, this movie is the ultimate introduction movie for me. I think he plays the role extremely well. I actually learned that they almost cast Joaquin Phoenix for the role, but he turned it down. I like Cumberbatch. I'm not sure how Phoenix would have done. I just don't know. But the character of Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange, arrogant in a pompous way, right? He's different from Tony Stark. He has a bit of arrogance too, but it's a lot cooler when Tony does it. Stephen Strange just came off as a complete asshole, and for him to go through this being humbled and learning he really doesn't know anything about the world and how it works, in which he felt like and looked like he had everything figured out. He's so sure of himself. Even after the accident, he showed arrogance and that he could have done better, and he was an asshole to the people who were trying to help him through it. So he still didn't understand that he needed to, humble himself. I'll say again, humble himself. So it took him going to Comitage and meeting the Ancient One. Now look, the CGI and the whole thing was great. The fight scenes were awesome and fun. So the presentation was great. The cinematic feel that you get when you're in the theater and you're in these different places, it's so entrenching, right? You get so into it watching the story, and it is an interesting one. Now the scenes, some of my favorite scenes. The Mr. Doctor scene, right, with Caecilius. The gift shop scene where the Ancient One took Strange on a ride and hit him with the, have you seen that before in the gift shop? The Dormammu bargain scene the Ancient One fight scene towards the end, and then the dying portion of it, right, with the powerful conversation that she had with Stephen Strange about it not being about him. Um, that was a really great scene. I thought it was really powerful for the film. And I really think that was what, excuse me, when things started to click for him. Before that, he wasn't about that life. He was already talking about bailing out, He said he came to heal his hands, not fighting some mystic war. So he was still, even after everything he learned and understanding that how at the speed that you're advancing, that you're special when it comes to the art. So you could be a very strong force, right? You can swing the tide maybe in this fight and be an ultimate protector in this, and you have to know that. But you were still on the I don't know about that, I want to bail. I really do think that conversation with the Ancient One there helped him really see and center in to that, yeah, it's not all about you, and if you can do something to help contribute, save lives on a different scale than you think is just something that you wanted, because that's the plan that you had for yourself. Understand the plans change and that you're needed now to do this, right? Your destiny, you've been called upon. And at the same time, the teacher being so flawed herself, being questioned, are you corrupted, right? You've been telling Mordo, speaking of which, the supporting cast, Christine, Mordo, Wong, the Ancient One, Caecilius, great, all great characters who played their roles extremely well. But yeah, the Ancient One, are you corrupted, right? You said don't use the dark magic, don't tap into that. You've steered us away from that. You understand why Mordo is upset, so it's like, what you told me a lie, and it doesn't actually corrupt. And if so, then why would you try to keep that from me? So you're doing it yourself. You're a hypocrite, but you won't let us do it. And so, are you actually telling us the truth? And now you're corrupt. And if that's the case, can I trust you? Dipping into both sides of the magic pool. It's like Obi-Wan, having some dark force powers as well. And like, you just can't, like they say, once you start giving into the dark side, you just get pulled in. You can't be trusted. So yeah, no, that whole thing, the way that they did that movie, I thought was phenomenal, and it's one of my favorites. Now, next on my list is going to be The Punisher. The Punisher, John Bernthal is the Punisher. I can't picture anyone else as him now. It's funny because he is, from what I hear, a smaller guy, 5'8", 5'9", I don't know, somewhere around there, maybe even 5'10". And someone might expect this Punisher to be some big 6'2", 6'3", strapping dude who's, I don't care about none of that. He played the role perfect. And the way that they set us up, I feel, is that we know the Punisher and who he's supposed to be. Who he is. Dark, angry, all that stuff. And in the first season, it was a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. And that was, I like being surprised in that way. That I'm expecting one thing and you do something else. You keep me on my toes, and I don't want to be right. That's the thing. I don't want the predictability of characters and the story. So I want you to do something different, throw me off. And they did that. So the first season was funnier than I expected with Micro and everything. Excuse me, that was going on there. The whole storyline was great with Billy Russo and Madani and them. The people that Frank Castle thought that had his back, that turned on him. Curtis played a great role. It was great all around, man. It had deepness on every level. Sadness for loss and love, anger for lies and manipulation. The family of Micro and Frank being around them, so you got some of that domestic feel and happiness that he missed from his own family. So there's a lot of levels to it. The second season was just as great, but it was darker than I expected after season one. I'm thinking, okay, first season was on the funnier side. Second one it will probably be funny too. It wasn't as funny. There were funny parts, but it wasn't as funny. It was darker. It was more serious and sinister. The John Pilgrim is the bad guy. It was one of those people, right? A man of focus, a force of nature, driven by love and faith, cannot be swayed, by emotion or money or anything like that, right? He was a great character. Great character to have as a bad guy in season 2. And every time I see that guy, I've seen him in a few different things now. He's always a problem. I don't recall the actor's name right now, but he's always a problem. You see that guy, just be ready for some shit to go down, because it is. Yeah. Next on the list, Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, see, when I had my brother on the podcast last time, Young said that he thinks that the first Spider-Man Homecoming, is better than Spider-Man Far From Home. I disagree. As you can see, too, from this 6 to that 6, they're not that far apart, but I do like the Spider-Man Far From Home a little better, and it's one of the themes that you get from me, that you have gotten from me, is that bad guys are extremely important. And though I like the Vulture, I love Mysterio. I love Mysterio. I always have loved Mysterio. His games that he plays and manipulation of your mind and all that fun stuff, I think is cool as hell. And I've always thought that we got more of Fury and Maria Hill in the movie, which is always fun. I love Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. Jake Gyllenhaal being Mysterio was amazing, and the way that they wrote it, it made me question myself for a while. Like, you come into the movie seeing that Mysterio's in it and he's going to be the bad guy, seemingly. Now, Marvel has already tricked us before with their trailers and what we expect. So, there's already a bit of mistrust there. It's just going to stay there. It's hard to earn back that trust after you ruin it. So, watching the movie and how Jake was with Peter, he made me question myself whether he was actually the bad guy, or whether, there was going to be something else that popped up, or these creatures were actually legit. Like, it was very well done, I thought, in that respect. And maybe I'm just gullible, and some of you out there always knew that he was somebody that you couldn't trust, but that was just kind of following the flow of the movie, and the flow of the movie had that man seeming like an ally. Okay, so I don't know, man. He got me. he got me. What else can I say? Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he's been through so much at this point, right? From the Civil War inclusion, his first movie in Homecoming, and the Endgame stuff, Infinity War. Like, he's been a part of all that, and it's been a lot for him as a kid. Remember, he's a kid, so the understanding of him feeling overwhelmed and wanting to not be Spider-Man for a while, just have fun on this trip, it's so understandable, so relatable. Because I'm a superhero too in my day-to-day, so I understand just wanting some time off. Sometimes people the cliffhanger at the end with his identity being revealed and how that's going to play out. We need more. I need more. But it was written so well. I'm so glad we're getting another movie. And there's been so much speculation on what that movie is going to be like. I let all those people do that. Y'all do the speculating. I will sit back and just wait for that bitch to come out and sit down and enjoy it and break it down afterwards. Now, next on the list, it's finally time for Avengers Age of Ultron. Yes, one of the most important films in the series. Not overwhelming to me, at least, because it's an enjoyable film that I really didn't know what would come to fruition later on. I didn't feel like there were a bunch of Easter eggs that they forced into the movie. It was written well. I really do think that. But I don't want to go into it too much just because I've talked about Age of Ultron multiple times already on the podcast. So, I don't want to sound like a broken record. Just know that I love the film. I think it's really good and has one of the best rewatchability factors out of all the movies. Now, next on the list is Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh, man. One of the best shows I've ever seen. It's so fun. It's so great. It's so entrenching. You do get so involved with the characters. It's easy to care for them, especially how they do early with getting you to know them. And they're just like, they really are like people. They have this childish nature to them because they're all young. At least the newer agents who are coming on board that are some of the main characters. They're green, so they're excited and stuff, not really fully realizing the dangers of what they're going to be getting themselves into. And so as they're going through these different things and they get traumatized and shaken up by some of the crazy missions that they go on and decisions that they have to make, the character arc for a lot of different characters is, it's special, man. It's very entertaining and fun to watch. They have such a level of introspection, and a lot of them that gives them a good level of depth. Pretty much every character is good and perfectly placed. Even May, they didn't really change how she is overall as a person until she died. Of course, she had at the end and came back and all that good stuff. Now, the twists and turns with the trust, that's another thing that they had, right? So when I speak about not being able to trust characters and who they are going to be, their intentions and all that stuff, this is a big reason for it. There's another big reason for it. There are multiple characters in the show that weren't who you thought they were. Okay, and the way that it was done, where how deep they were entrenched and you trusted them, man, it was painful when they flipped. You didn't understand it. You were baffled. And there's always multiple obstacles in the show that are always interesting and meaningful and impactful to somebody's life. These most of the missions, especially as you go deeper and deeper, aren't something where it's just, okay, well, this is the bad guy, we're going to take him out, and then everything's happy-go-lucky after that. It's this bad guy has put us in this position that we only have so many options to resolve the issue, and none of them are great options because someone may die or lose something, or it's going to change you forever because you have to do this to go through that. Like, it's really deep and crazy. Love the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. Love it, love it, love it. And last one on the list for today is the First Avengers. The First Avengers. So good, man. Iconic. The first group up movie. Not much needs to be said here. Everybody knows how iconic the First Avengers movie is. The opening with Loki showing up himself on Earth right in the S.H.I.E.L.D. base in front of Nick Fury. Like, what's up, motherfuckers? I'm here to collect the Tesseract, and I'm about to take over your world. And it was different in the way that Thanos did it, which is, I don't have a problem with either with him sending his people to Earth first, but Loki showed up himself first and was like, yeah. And I know the plan was kind of like that, and they weren't going to send the army until he got the Tesseract, but you have to be willing to do that. You're going onto a planet where, you don't have any friends, and you do know that they have fighters and, capable beings there that can get in your way. and you showed up anyway. Like, what's up? I love it. So the opening was intense, getting to see the relationships, how they're going to go, the bickering between Stark and Cap. Each roundup or intro scene was good for the recruiting. You know, I loved it, how they brought in Banner, how they brought in Cap. You know, Iron Man scene was funny. The fight at the end was amazing. Like, everything, you know, we have a Hulk. What do you mean?
We have a Hulk.
That's the movie. That's the movie. So it's definitely on the list. So at a very high spot on the list at that. Mark Ruffalo, by the way, is an amazing actor, and he doesn't get enough love, I think, for his role as Bruce Banner. I think we should give him even more than he receives, and I think he receives some reasonable amount to some, but not enough to me. Not enough to me. I think he's perfect, even better than Edward Norton, who I thought was pretty good the first time I saw the Hulk movie. The original Hulk movie. Well, I guess it's not the original, but you know what I mean. Some fun things about the Avengers writing and pairing it with Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's there's this person in Coulson's life, Agent Coulson, you know, who died in Avengers and led the group in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, there's a whole story behind that too. If you don't know, like, I thought he died. How can he lead the team in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if he died in Avengers? There's a whole story with that. You'd have to watch the show. But there is a woman that was in Agent Coulson's life that he used to, you know, talk to, be with, have, you know, be romantic with. Apparently, she got like a job in Oregon and moved to Portland. Now, this is something that in the show there was an episode where this woman in Portland had somebody after her, and she thought that Coulson was dead. He hadn't talked to her after the New York incident happened in Avengers. She thought he was dead. He was keeping it that way. Didn't want to put her through any type of nonsense where he can't be around, blah, blah, whatever. But then something happened, and it was in their wheelhouse where she needed protecting. He showed up to protect her. You know, there was this whole thing. And what's funny about it is that they mentioned her in the Avengers movie, of course, which dropped before the show Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. even began. So it was all planned, right? And when they picked up Tony, when they came to recruit Tony, rather, Coulson did, and he was up there with Pepper after they had turned on the Stark Tower with the sustainable energy and all that. He came inside, they were toasting and about to have like a little date night, do their thing. Coulson comes through, gives Iron Man, Tony Stark, the materials he needs to read up on, so he be ready to go ahead and group up because it's about to go down. Loki here now, Brad, we need your help. And Pepper asks Coulson if Coulson will give her a ride to the airport. And Coulson says yes. They start walking towards the elevator, and Pepper asks him, hey, what happened to the girl from Portland? Or, you know, the girl that you were talking to or something like that. And he was like, oh, she moved to Portland. And Pepper's like, oh, man, and something like that, right? And it's like, I didn't notice that in the very beginning. But after going back and watching all of these things 80 million times, I noticed it then. It was like, wow, they actually mentioned her in the movie. And that wasn't the only time. When they were on one of the ships with Fury, and when the group was all together and they were at like that big table talking already, and then Iron Man walks in the room with Coulson. They're talking to each other before joining the group, and it was clear that they were already entrenched in a conversation, and you just hear them as they're finishing up the conversation so they can start mingling with the group about whatever's going on, you hear Tony say to him real quick, like, just let me know if you want to fly to Portland. I'll, put you on one of my jets, keep hope alive, or something like that, right? So it's like twice they mentioned that, and when you watch it the first time, you have no idea what they're talking about. You think it's a throwaway line, and if you go through and watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then you see that this girl in Portland is so unreal, and there's just, like, it's crazy, man. Marvel's wild. It's shit like that I love, that keeps me, so entrenched in everything they're doing. So that's it for the 6 for 6 today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you learned a thing or two, and if not, that's okay. Hope you enjoyed it anyway. We're going to be back next week. Like I said, it's going to be just the WandaVision. And then on the following week, we'll have the finale of the 6 for 6 segment that we've been doing for the past few weeks. It's going to be fun. Young's going to be there. And you need to be there, okay? Make sure you follow your boy. Subscribe to the podcast, okay? Let your people know about the podcast. Like and rate the podcast, so I can get up in the charts a little bit. Let me know what I can do better. Hit me up on Instagram or Twitter at JaLilWill. That's not going to change, okay? I'm going to be here, all right? Every week. We're going to be coming, bringing you content. Winter storm or no winter storm. You know how we get down.
Sun's getting real low.
We out.